Hi, everyone. I don't know. I can't pretend like things aren't weird right now in the world. I think recent events have kind of put everything in this weird context where we're not sure what's going to happen. All we know is that it's weird and scary. And I'm going to try not to put any of that stress on you guys in this video, but if I seem stressed, it's the everything. If you're watching this in the future and wondering which specific catastrophe I'm referring to, last week the Russian president had his troops begin an invasion of Ukraine, and since things are ongoing, we have no idea what is going to happen. Right out the bat, I gotta say, I cannot approach this situation from any semblance of an educated position. I don't know anything about Ukraine or Russian history or politics or anything. I'm not an expert. I'm pretty sure even the experts on Russia and Ukraine still don't know what's going to happen. It's just that weird of a situation. But it's apparent to me that a lot of people are going to get hurt in a fight that doesn't need to happen. And as a non-Ukrainian who is only experiencing this story via the internet, it's easy to get overwhelmed and scared and feel helpless. And I've noticed that a lot of people like me whose only outlet in this situation is to vent about it online are processing their emotions in, let's say, odd ways. It all feels very confused and panicky, like people have high emotions but aren't really sure how to express it, so they're just dumping it out in weird ways online. And after seeing some of that stuff, I do think that it needs to be talked about. But I also don't want to stress myself out too much, so this video has a time limit. I'm going to take 2 melatonin gummies, and I'll probably fall asleep in 30 minutes, so however long it takes me to film, I am going to knock out. My plan is that these are going to help me keep my head cool. At least I hope they will. Hopefully I'm going to be calm and cool-headed the whole time. Oh, I hope I don't fall asleep on camera. Hello everyone, welcome back to my commentary channel and thank you for joining me here today. Now, I just want to clarify, I am in a very, very privileged situation right now in order to be just talking about this because Ukrainian citizens are fighting for their lives right now, and I am so lucky to just be talking about it. And for the people like me who are just reacting to this online, I am not trying to say that we should be having no reactions to this, because obviously reactions are human, and for a story this emotionally taxing, I don't blame anyone for feeling their feelings. But I think the important part is how we process those emotions and express that online. I think a lot of people were already reaching their emotional breaking points, and that's why the behavior we see online is what it is. And the first thing I really want to get into is the reaction to war with memes. I think Americans feel very involved in this war because for the past month, we've been seeing headlines like, oh, Biden talks with Putin over rising tensions. And the news has very, very intentionally included us in this conflict. And when news of a war broke out, I think a lot of people thought that because we had been involved in the discussions, we were now going to be involved in the war. And it's important to point out that we are not equal in this equation. Ukraine is being invaded right now, and we are not. But that didn't stop a lot of people, specifically Americans, from making World War III memes or joking about how they're going to get drafted. In fact, the way I found out about the Ukrainian invasion was through a tweet someone made, haha, I hope I get drafted with my boys, which is not the way I expected to learn about that. I've spoken before about how memes are just a part of modern communication now, but I guess I hoped that something as serious as this, we would be approaching in a more serious way, especially because we are not the ones under attack. There is no World War III happening right now. It's just Ukrainian citizens being attacked and invaded. And it's okay for Americans to feel something about that, but those feelings should be expressed in ways more than a meme that people can just and then keep scrolling past. That doesn't really do it justice. For days now, social media has just been plugged up with people making jokes about how we're all at war and the world is doomed, and essentially boiling another country's invasion into our own punchlines. When people in Ukraine are fearing for their lives, saying goodbye to family members and their homes and becoming refugees, and fully grown adults in the West are hitting it out with first war feeling nervous. And I don't want my point to come across as no fun allowed, because that's how anyone sounds when they criticize memes. Like, I get it. I sound old, but I don't know. I think another country's invasion shouldn't really be boiled down into jokes about World War III or whatever, you know? But I don't think these memes were made with bad intentions. I don't think people are like intending to be cruel or dismissive. I think either it's just how we've been conditioned into talking about serious events, or there's a nugget of truth in those jokes, and like these people are actually a little bit, maybe 1% scared that like there will be a draft eventually, and this is how they're coping with that. But either way, it just doesn't seem very productive to me. And then you have the people who missed the meme memo and actually thought that there was a draft and a world war happening, and that's likely because the news has been treating it that way. The invasion is all that American news is focusing on right now. Like, even Kanye West tried to turn the spotlight back to him with the Pete thing, but it didn't work because the new big clickbait headline is about the war. And I think because there's such a market for that news, that's why you see every media source constantly talking about it, like making it a part of everyone's day. And yes, they're getting paid for that. They're getting paid in the clicks, the views, the ads, whatever. Like, they are making money off of this war. It went viral recently, but a large prepaid advertisement for Applebee's played on a giant screen during one of these updates in the invasion, which drew in a lot of criticism from people, but likely gave Applebee's the publicity they wanted in doing so they likely don't mind. Even on YouTube, where people likely go for entertainment and escapism, it's filled with updates or political streamers dissecting every possible aspect of the story. I'm hoping that the news is just trying to do its job, right? By like keeping us informed, constant updates. But that faith of mine is shaken every time I see the constant commercialization of another country's war. Like, I don't want to see giant Applebee's ads. I want to know if Ukraine is okay. But earlier I mentioned YouTube and distractions, so let's now touch on the idea that everyone has to be talking about this. The news that Ukraine was being invaded happened late in the evening that I was working on the last video that I uploaded. And when I saw that news, nothing mattered. Like, all of a sudden, whatever I was talking about in that video was like minuscule, insignificant, because suddenly there was a war happening. I didn't know if I should continue editing because all of a sudden it felt almost offensive to be talking about anything else. But I knew people were expecting an upload, so I did finish editing and uploaded it the next day. Surprisingly, a lot of people in the comments were thanking me for talking about something else. I think it's normal to want to take breaks from consuming nothing but heavy content and maybe consume some like normal, regular content that you would have anyway. Like, it's almost unhealthy to be only intaking serious, heavy topics. The YouTuber Jarvis Johnson recently announced a new merch line of his, but the launch day unluckily landed on the same day as the invasion. A bunch of posts went up advertising the clothes, and a lot of people were furious in the comments. People were basically screaming at Jarvis for promoting his own brand while this invasion was happening, and people were very insulted that he wasn't covering the invasion. Again, we're going in with good faith here. I want to assume that those people were just feeling really high emotions and they didn't feel like it was right to be talking about anything else. Like, I'm hoping like they were just coming at this in the wrong way, but with good intentions. Because expressing your emotions angrily at a post just advertising a sweater is not helpful. It's not productive. Like, I get that people were angry and they needed something to vent at, but this was not the right thing. Besides, these posts were likely planned ahead in advance for a long time because merch announcements work like that sometimes. And besides, it feels weird that people were demanding that Jarvis Johnson cover the Ukrainian invasion because not every YouTuber is qualified to talk about this kind of stuff. And the people who make content that are usually just for entertainment probably shouldn't be handed the mic over global conflicts that they're not, prepared to talk about. No offense, Jarvis. So instead of barking at influencers or getting into fights in their comment sections, maybe try to seek out this information from qualified sources. I don't know. I know that getting into fights of an Instagram post for clothes is not productive at all. And if you want to take a break from hearing from the war, you should be able to watch regular content guilt-free, and these creators should be able to make their regular content guilt-free. But again, if you feel conflicted or you feel some kind of tonal whiplash about the way we're talking about this online, that's normal too, because I'm kind of right there with you. And of course, there are some people who just want attention and are going to use every excuse and opportunity they can to draw people's spotlights their way. And it's no different when there's a war. God damn it. And to be clear, when the people involved, like Ukrainian and Russian citizens, speak out or make some kind of statement, I don't consider that to be clout chasing, because there's actual consequences and risks that they are undertaking by making that statement, and they are involved, so they have a right to be talking about this kind of thing. But a Reddit user posting 2 Lego bricks and then getting a bunch of internet awards for it does not feel like it should be held in the same caliber. Oh, and don't worry, someone else outdid them immediately afterwards. Thank you, Reddit. This is one of those times where we need to be focusing on the voices that truly matter, and unfortunately, a lot of the solidarity that we see is just people trying to farm likes online. An American actress wrote and performed a spoken word poem addressed to the Russian president, which honestly made my jaw drop from how tone-deaf and self-centered it was.
If I was your mother, if the world was cold, I'd have died to make you warm. I'd have died to protect you from the unjust, the violence, the terror, the uncertainty. I would have died to give you life. Oh, dear Mr. President Putin, if only I'd been your mother.
And everyone was so riled up at this point and panicking online that when they saw this, someone who clearly should not be making this kind of post, everyone raged at her and got her the attention that she wanted. I'm confident that she didn't write that poem hoping that Putin would hear it. Like, it was made for us to hear and to give her views, and that's exactly what she got. She rage baited us. God damn it. Ugh, it's always rage baiting. Another popular image was someone at a protest holding a sign that reads, "Russian troop pronouns are were/was," which is either a very thinly veiled attempt at stoking the flames of the conservatives who think pronouns are out to get them, or it's just a very uneducated sign. These aren't even pronouns, they're verbs. Conservatives were fighting about this image, and they're verbs. There's also a lot of buildings in other countries that are being lit with the colors of the Ukrainian flag. And while it doesn't exactly do much to help, it is a nice sign of solidarity that might bring comfort to some people. But then you have some British locations sporting these colors, all while Britain is refusing refugees from Ukraine, which is just about as performative and clout chasing as you can get. Update, the UK is now increasing the amount of refugees they're going to take in, which is absolutely a good thing, but they are only doing that because people complained. So, do with that what you will. Oh shit, this is one that kills me the most. Oh my god, you guys ready for hell? The Oval Pawfis account tweets, "I am so furry pupset about what's happening in Ukraine right now. I have been monitoring the situation and had furry little sleep. I will be taking a small nap and leave Willow in charge. We take turns. We are both so heartbroken about the humans and pets in Ukraine. Yelp." I don't think that's an official government Twitter account by any means, but a human still had to type that out and post it. And like a human with a brain had to, I don't know, it's just, that's upsetting. And it wouldn't be a controversy without Elon Musk, so let's get into it. After a few posts from large Ukrainian accounts about the internet being shut down across their regions, Elon Musk said that his Starlink satellites would provide free internet for Ukraine, and sure enough, within a day, they were up and running. I'm not an Elon Musk fan at all, but I gotta admit, this was really cool to see. This was someone with resources and money and power to, effectively make good things happen, and when he was needed, he did. I truly think that what he did here was a good thing. But guess what? It got ruined because all of the Elon Musk fans who just live on Twitter saw this, and, you know, to them, it was suddenly their best argument as to why Elon Musk is a good person. So you can see this point being brought up by them even now, days after this happened and more updates to the story has happened. The Musk heads on Twitter are just still talking about this. They're treating it like a commercial for Elon Musk as a person and only using it to boost his credibility instead of, I don't know, letting other people talk about what's actually happening. It's insidious to me that you are only talking about this conflict in a way that supports the person you admire. Like, there has to be a little bit more compassion when we talk about this. If I had to like do the thing where I'm trying to be positive about everything, I would say that these people are being so supportive to Elon Musk because that's what they're familiar with. And in a conflict like this where anything could happen and nothing is certain, I think people are looking for familiar ground to stand on. And for these people, defending Elon Musk is that familiar ground. So they might be reverting back to that comfortable talking point. And if we look at it that way, I think it makes a little more sense, because if you're emotional and vulnerable, you're going to want to look for familiar ground so you don't panic. It is a very painful and confusing time for a lot of people, and I think that has found its way to the internet. And because we use the internet for everything, right? Like comfort, entertainment, news, venting outlets, right? Like, because we're so familiar with this, that's why we're seeing these high intensity emotions clashing online, because that's where people are going to expel those emotions. And I'm probably going to title this video something having to do with panic patterns or panic culture. And the reason that is because this is just what we do. Ever since we've had the internet, when something scary and newsworthy happens, we go through this cycle of people scamming others, of like the news going crazy, of panicking, and like the memes, right? It's just, these are familiar beats that we always hit. And I do think that everyone is panicking a little bit because we don't know what is happening. We don't know what to expect. Nobody does. Powerful people are making decisions that are going to affect the entire world. And we, the regular people, don't really have a lot of options. We kind of just have to react to whatever they want to do, which is terrifying. And yeah, I'm fucking scared. I see these videos of what's happening in Ukraine and like I cry. I feel very paralyzed emotionally. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing, but I see this terrible shit and I feel like I have to be doing something, even though I feel so limited. I feel small and insignificant whenever something like this, to this intensity, happens. And I'm not saying that to virtue signal. I don't want your pity. I don't want you to like the video because you think I'm brave. I'm just trying to be open to you, like person to person. Like I want to be vulnerable here and say that like I'm scared. I'm legitimately panicking. Like, I am one of those people online who is low-key panicking. But I have to remember that whatever pain I feel from the anxiety with this story is a fraction to the suffering that is happening from the people involved, right? The actual citizens of Ukraine who are being shot at and have to evacuate their homes and their lives. Like, I get to sit in my home with my things and just read about this story. Like, I'm living leisure by just having to hear about what's happening. So what can we do? Unfortunately, not much. Like, I've donated money and I'm being careful about the posts that I'm liking and sharing. But other than that, from an individual level, there is not a whole lot of options for us. But I think that if we're all aware that people are panicking online, hopefully going into these situations with that context will help us de-escalate tensions in the comment sections, maybe like stop people from fighting or like just avoid fights of your own. Because I think understanding that everybody is freaking out, I think will help, just knowing the headspace that people are in. I think the real message of this video that I'm still trying to learn is accepting that we don't always have the power to change anything. And sometimes the impact we have online carries a lot more weight, even if it's just a comment on a post. I think we have to be careful about all of the emotions that we're bringing into our digital footprints. We need to try to be careful not to let our emotions overtake us and panic online, because that's what leads to disinformation and fighting and harm. And especially in times like these, we want to reduce harm. And despite everything, the little internal optimist that lives in my brain is still telling me that things are going to work out and everything will be okay. And I don't really trust that guy, but like, he hasn't been wrong yet. So I'm going to keep believing that things are going to work out in the end. And I'm hopeful that, you know, you're able to find something similar to that too. All right, everyone, that melatonin gummy is kicking my ass right now, so I'm going to speed through this outro if that's all the same to you. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate you doing that. If you want to like this video or leave a comment, I would appreciate those little engagements, but otherwise, I'm really just happy that you watched this thing. Thank you for that. Big ups to the Patreon supporters for once again spending their money on me, the Duncan guy, for making these videos and keeping the channel running. I don't think I'll ever be able to thank you enough for doing that, but still, I'm going to keep trying all the time. So thank you guys. Honestly, if you want a ride somewhere, let me know. I shouldn't have said that. I can't drive. Next week, I'm going to try to talk about something a little more lighthearted. I know these past few videos have been heavier or just long. Hopefully this one isn't too long, but either way, we'll try to get back to the fun stuff, I promise. Thank you guys for everything. I truly love you lots. Stay safe. Goodbye.